comprised of 9 members, serving staggered 3-year terms. 4 members at large appointed by the Board of Selectmen, one member of the Conservation Commission, Historical Commission, Planning Board, Housing Authority, and Conservation Commission, and 3-year staggered terms. This meeting is live and streamed on Sandwich Community Television's website and on local channel 9. The meeting is being recorded and will be available on the SCTV website at www.sandwichtv.org tomorrow. The board asks that if anyone is recording this meeting, please notify the chair on Zoom. Thank you. That's the microphone there, so it'll catch anybody speaking, so even come to the audience and pick it up. So with that, I'd like to welcome Jack Farrow, who's the new member of the board. The first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there any public comment? Seeing none. Staff items. We get the draft of the June 2nd minutes. Everybody has a chance to have the meeting. Have any questions or concerns?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of the June 2nd, 2025 meeting is submitted.
I'm sorry, June 6th.
Yes, it's here, the second.
Oh, yes. It's
6, okay.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? One abstain. Okay, so line on new business. The first request is the request for $505,275 for the Town of Sandwich Reclamation facility.
It's best.
Whatever's easiest you like, so they keep me the microphone here from there.
Good evening, I'm Tricia McDonald. I'm here on behalf of the Sandwich Recreation Department, and I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. As part of our application for the CPC funding in support of 2 important community recreation projects. Recreation plays a vital role in health, well-being, and connectedness of our residents, and whether it's providing a free space, safe space for children to play, opportunities for families to gather, or places for people of all ages to stay active, these projects are about investing in quality of life here in Sandwich. We're excited to share our vision and appreciate your consideration and support. We are requesting $505,375 for 2 essential projects. The replacement of 2 multi-use basketball courts at the Oakhurst School facility and the sand replacement at both Peters Pond and Snake Pond. Despite the Recreation Department's best efforts and consistent maintenance, the current condition of the basketball courts and beaches exceed what can be addressed through our operational budget alone. The Sandwich Recreation Department, as I said, is requesting $505,375 in CPC funding to support those 2 key projects. They align directly with the goals outlined in the town's open space and recreational plan, which emphasizes improving recreational facilities and protecting our natural resources. The sand replenishment project in particular supports Goal 7 of the plan by enhancing public access to our freshwater beaches while preserving sensitive ecosystems. The public input and state-level planning documents also highlighted the need for better maintained non-school-based recreational areas, something both of these projects aim to address. But together, they represent a meaningful investment in health enjoyed by environmental stewardship of our town. So a quick overview of the projects. The objective of the replacement of the 2 community multi-sport basketball courts at Oakhurst School would be to replace and upgrade the 2 community basketball courts to provide safe, quality, and accessible recreation space that meets current standards and supports year-round community use. The project includes a full replacement of 2 existing basketball courts, including new surfacing, fencing, hoops, and striping. The improvements will enhance safety, durability, and playability, aligning with the town's open space and recreation. And that is in the amount of $394,240. The second is the sand replenishment at Peters Pond and Snake Pond beaches. This is to restore and preserve the natural shoreline and recreational quality of a Peter Pond beach and Snake Pond beach. Our targeted sand replenishment, improving environmental stability, public safety, and access for the residents and visitors. The work will include the purchase and delivery of sand, grading and shaping of the beach areas, removal of debris, and final site cleanup. These improvements will stabilize the shoreline erosion, improve stormwater runoff, filtration, and enhance the overall recreational experience for the community. And that's the amount of $111,135. A quick overview of the basketball and multi-sports. It's, I guess, it needs new surfacing, fencing, hoop striping, and drainage. We are asking for the post-tension concrete with the 25-year structural guarantee. These, as far as the use and impact, are used daily, not only by our Super Fund program participants. The Sandwich Partnership for Family utilizes them for preschool programming. We utilize them for preschool and youth programs. Plus, we have up to 65 players and spectators on summer evenings playing pickup basketball. We keep the lights on until 10 p.m. for safe, supervised recreation, and it's the only lit courts in town. Another important is that it can be used during the school day. We have the areas of town that you have the access during the school days. So we have other people that are allowed to access from the community. We have homeschool members that also use them. And obviously the benefits are to encourage healthy, active lifestyles, strengthen our community connections, and enhance the safety and accessibility of the site. Timeline of the project. We had to get a request for proposals in late spring of 2026, design and development by July of 2026. Renewal of fencing in existing courts in August of 2026, and then the installation of base grade post-tension slab by fall of 2026, and then depending on the completion, weather, and all things cooperative, we could be hopefully court surfacing and lines could be done late fall, but with an anticipation of early spring of 2027. It's also important to take into consideration that post-tension concrete, there's only so many companies that do that, so getting on somebody's schedule would also play a factor in that when that all happens. The sand replenishment, we would be restoring the shoreline and improve environmental stability for both Peters Pond and Snake Pond. It would be 520 tons of sand for Peters Pond and 950 tons to Snake Pond. It would include the grading and the shaping, removing of any debris and other things out of there and site cleanup. The sand replenishment project used to be on a maintenance schedule and previously managed by DNR, and that hasn't happened in about 15 years. So we are long overdue at both of those sites. The benefits obviously stabilize the shoreline and filter the stormwater, but it also improves the safety. If anybody that's been down to Snake Pond, you know that there's roots and tripping hazards and some of the eroded areas that need to be addressed. And also obviously enhances the aesthetics and access to families and visitors, people that utilize our beaches. We have swim lessons down at Snake Pond and there are families that utilize that residents only beach, and then we have Crest Pool here. Fishing, super fun, and families and are always down there. As far as that project, I think that would be a quicker turnaround. Request for proposals going out as early as late May or beginning of June. Beach preparation, depending on the quick turnaround either, but probably around September 2026. We could have the preparation, delivery, and replenishment, and probably completion by the end of September. As far as project management, I've had the privilege of working with the Sandwich Recreation Department for the last 13 and a half years. The last 2.5 years, I've served as the recreation director. During that time, I have collaborated and overseen a number of significant recreation projects that reflect our department's strong capacity of planning, collaborating, and successfully executing projects. This includes the full rebuild of the Adventure Playground just last year, which was conceived, designed, and delivered under our current leadership, and the transformation of the Morse Road Park area also in 2024 with the court, and then the new beach volleyball. We were in partnership with the DPW and Upper Cape Tech to make that happen. And then, of course, the multi-phase Oakcrest Cove Skate Park and Courts project from 2017 to 2020. And that was completed with our community input and support from the town engineering department. In addition, our department has long been responsible for the stewardship of beach facilities at both Peters Pond, Snake Pond, and we work closely with the Natural Resources and Health Department to maintain sand quality, accessibility, and environmental health at all of our public beaches. These projects demonstrate our ability to manage complex recreational initiatives and serve the community that align, hopefully, with the town's long-term goals. The maintenance and upkeep, it would be supported through annual town appropriations, program generated revenue, and capital recoupment requests, which happen every 5 to 10 year cycle. Beach maintenance obviously would be based off of annual and actually daily inspections during our summer season, daily trash removal, and then minor sands touch-ups working in conjunction with DNR, so it doesn't end up being projects so large scale. And then for port maintenance, routine cleaning, repainting, light inspections and repairs. The post-tension concrete ensures long-term durability, which hopefully will prevent us from having to do much maintenance for the next. And then a quick budget overview. Our estimates were based on professional estimates in October of 2025 from the Crawford and Management Services for beaches and Cape and Islands, and Tracks for the ports. Both firms are reputable local contractors with experience on Cape Cod and prior work in town. Post-tension concrete is recommended for the ports due to the 25-year structural guarantees and its supreme performance in recreation climate. I can address that a little bit more if anybody's interested. Also, if you look, we also had a contingency buffer there of 12%. In reviewing and kind of investigating some of the places recommended up to 15% just because of the cost reality of what we're looking at. We have concrete is at 38.9% since 2019, so it just needs to be considered prevailing wage increases, and then any unforeseen site conditions, which would be erosion, drainage, and any of those situations. We want to make sure that we are not coming back to ask for funding to complete the project. The Recreation Department will be monitoring these budgets and will return any unspent funds to CPC to be transparent and efficient. And as far as funding, we are asking for 100% of funding through CPC funding. Request for beach replenishment. There is a $30,000 donation from the Jera company, which will be applied towards that. So the cost of $111,135 would come through the CPC funding request, the remaining costs. I guess most of the funding, I think that's just kind of a breakdown of it. The next part of our proposal is the estimates. As you can see, the Cape and Islands did include courts with asphalt and fiberglass overlay is that first amount, and then the second amount as the basketball court with post-tension concrete. We are recommending the post-tension concrete. And then for fencing, they gave us two options. The first would be the loop side and a 10-foot return, and the other one is entire fencing the entire court, which is also a recommendation if any of you are familiar with that area. It really should require, just for safety reasons. It's also a boat launch down there if you have children playing. It's also on a natural incline for the boat ramp. So you're also looking at balls and looking at people that are not, so they want to discourage anybody from accidentally or intentionally driving vehicles on.
Here's just a view of the courts and buildings presently.
The next is the land managed, this is the estimate from Crawford. And there's additional information there with the town engineering department, Sean Tarrington provided critical support by calculating the work quantities needed for both beach sites. And they were paired with the GIS site renderings that we used to develop an accurate and detailed cost estimate for the standard flush. New country, but also, which is a paper, view of and then really our last section is our letters of support. We received strong community support over both of these projects, including letters, emails from avid basketball players, sport users, local families, beachgoers, all people who value these spaces. The Recreation Committee also expressed its support along with the Department of Natural Resources, who will be key partners in the beach replenishment efforts. We're also grateful to have several supporters not attendance tonight, which reflects the community's shared commitment to maintaining and improving recreation concepts. Yes, we'd just like to thank you for your time and your thoughtful consideration. The Recreation Department has worked diligently to maintain the Oak Crest School facilities and Snake Pond with limited general funds and modest capital support, but we've really reached the point where replacement, not repair, is necessary. I appreciate your contribution.
Thank you. I meant to make it clear that this is part of the new procedure and how we do things. So we're only, taking information, taking questions, new decisions, or whatever, are made until in a future meeting. But thank you for your presentation. Anybody have any questions?
Just one technical question. I was asked by Sandwich TV if anyone was attending remotely. The financial director? Is that
Yes, yeah, I guess the Zoom is causing a broadcasting issue.
just so?
I can just let them know.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Great.
yeah,
Thanks to you.
I think it's causing interference. And also the cameras aren't working, so apologies for this Jerry break setup. I'd be able to answer any financial questions that you may have on the subject or funding.
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer. Yeah, just a couple of questions for you. Yeah, I noticed that there's two alternative proposals for the basketball court rebuild. And first of all, quick presentation. That if you have. The question I had was, it looks like about an $85,000 difference between the two alternatives. Can you speak a little bit to how the higher cost preferred alternatives have a much longer shelf life compared to the other?
Absolutely. So there's actually a number of reasons why post-tension concrete, the first would be climate resilience, being here in New England. So it's post-tension concrete is engineered to resist cracking, where you have asphalt, harsh winters and freeze cycle cracking due to expansion, heaving from frost, and surface decline just from like snow removal. Also, post-tension concrete has fewer joints, reducing like the water and freeze thaw damage, and then it also maintains structural integrity over decades, even in extreme weather. Also, the long-term cost efficiency really, while the initial post-tension concrete is a little bit higher at $85,000. Asphalt typically requires resurfacing every 5 to 7 years with fiberglass. With the fiberglass overlay, especially in cold climates. But post-tension concrete can last 20 to 30 years with minimal maintenance, making it more sustainable investment. And then again, another big thing for our players is also it's a superior surface. It's consistent, light surface. Asphalt, even with overlays, can develop uneven spots, soft areas, surface bubbling. You get something back to the right. That's been some of the issues they've dealt with just over the last couple of years. And concrete is also less in the summer, that is in a really sunny spot. And then post-tension slabs are engineered to remain stable, even as anything else shifts, where asphalt is susceptible to any movement, cracks, surface failure. And then lastly, aesthetically, we have options to customize it. We can ask better to towards it's UV stable, slip resistant. There's a number of reasons that surfaces might go on concrete. is definitely better.
Yeah, I can understand those, but I was hoping you can tell me what the design was for one versus the other.
Yes, so for asphalt, you're looking at, potentially between 5 to 7 years before you need to resurface, depending on, on what a wet winter looks like. And, all those other things, weather things that take into consideration, and then we're looking at like 25 years. Yeah, so $85,000 now, and $100,000 in a couple of years, so it makes a big difference, I think.
The other question I have was considering this, since these at this point, just preliminary estimates.
Yes, yep.
RFP that goes out for.
Exactly, that would be with the next, after. If we would go out for an RFP. And these were two companies that we worked closely with in the town previously, have both great reputations, know the key, and know the conditions that they worked on, which was, I think, really important, especially for court life. Absolutely.
Does anyone else have any questions? I just had two. One on the beach, where you're getting the sand from, wherever they're placing it. So delivering it.
The same thing, it would be the same companies who would do everything, especially down at Peters Pond. They have to shoot the sands down because it's not accessible from the air there, so it would need to. That's, yeah, removing debris ahead of time, and then, yep.
And on the basketball court, did you say this, it's open till 10 at night?
10 p.m. to late.
So in this proposal, there's nothing to do with lighting or anything?
The lighting's already existing.
So the only thing that would be is the basketball defense.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Anybody from the public have any questions? It's good to see you have some people here. Supporters, yes.
They usually come in and visit us.
Okay, no, so that would be, like I said, we'll be, at a future meeting, we said January and February, and
Ranking process would start in January or February, to get ready to make recommendations to the select board before March.
Does that impact any of the proposals or anything, or?
No, I think we would just go, we would schedule whatever.
Okay.
And I guess my only real question, or not question, but confirmation is that these facilities get a great deal of community use.
Yeah, I mean, there's honestly, especially if I'm at the office late, there's not many nights that I don't need that there aren't people out on the court. Same thing in the mornings, like commissioners down there and shooting rounds. We also, like I said, we have the sandwich partnership with families. If it's nice, they're out there doing their yoga instead of outside. Our programming will bring the kids outside. The super fun programs it's just the same thing. You get fishermen down there year round, essentially, and then the families, swim lessons, snake ponds, all of them. And we really get a lot of feedback from the community on all three of these properties. So it definitely is an important, I think, piece of recreation for a lot of people in the community. Absolutely.
Okay, just thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, consideration.
Request for $755,300 for the restoration of the sandwich school tennis courts. Let's see for that one.
Good evening, everybody. Joe Maruszczak, I'm the superintendent of schools for the Sandwich Public Schools. This is Michael Ryan, who's the director of facilities. You have, hopefully, our request. Kind of interesting. I feel like in some ways we've come full circle in kind of putting this together. I did some research, I believe, almost 10 years ago, a request was made to the CPC to resurface this. And at the time, our late facilities director, John Nelson, was looking for about $100,000 for resurfacing, with the mindset that from resurfacing, 6 or 7 years could be added to the life of it. It was resurfaced in early 2018, and here we are 7 years after the fact, and I think I put some pictures in the applications. It's in pretty rough shape. There's numerous cracks in all six of the courts, and to the point where it's becoming really, really challenging to have officially sanctioned MIAA contests during the season in the spring. You can only fill up those cracks with only so much epoxy. So the vision of this is to do a reconstruction of the tennis courts. However, knowing how popular pickleball obviously is, would be to go from 6 tennis courts to 4 tennis courts to 2 pickleball courts. One obviously lends itself to increase community use, knowing how popular pickleball is, particularly in our community, but also knowing from my superintendent colleagues and principal colleagues throughout the Commonwealth, we're probably only a year or 2 away from pickleball being a sanctioned MIAA sport. So we really feel it's imminent. Why not kind of get ahead of the curve anyway? I know several other communities, Dennis Yarmouth, Barnstable, already have pickleball courts on their high school campus. So to us, it makes a great deal of sense. Just thinking about really the pieces that we talk about in our community's local comprehensive plan vision statement, about having a vibrant community, about sustainability, about natural resources, and about really just having all of this accessible to the community as a great place to play. We already have the lighting. I believe they're the only lit courts that we have within our community. So on many, many levels, it makes a great deal of sense. So as I said, the vision is for a complete rebuild. We're only in the early stages of estimating, based upon kind of the current state of affairs as far as the condition. We estimate that this would be a project a little over $1 million in total. Probably we've been given a rough estimate around $200,000 for the demolition and disposal of the existing asphalt court. Probably would be looking at, similar to the basketball court, either a post-tension concrete floor or some type of sports court, similar to what we put in place in revitalizing the outdoor basketball courts outside of the high school. It would also include the installation of a 10-foot tall black chain link fence, but also significantly upgrading ADA compliant access to the tennis court. We do get feedback from some of our parents and grandparents that come to view contests, some issues around accessibility. So we do realize that this is a very, very large request. We probably would be looking at altering our capital request to the community, and this year is particularly challenging across the town and the school side because of some of the demands of healthcare insurance. But it would probably be a combination of changing our capital requests and also looking at some of our athletic revolver funds to make up the difference. So essentially, that's the overall vision of what we'd like to do. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? How much access do the public have? Other than the students, I mean, what time frame can the public use these courts?
They can use it anytime when school is not in session or other than the spring season at after school events.
So during after school events, they can't use it, there's stuff out there, there's nothing going on inside. Just like if there's a baseball game, can they use the tennis courts?
If it's not being utilized by the tennis team, yes.
Anybody else?
I'm sorry, maybe I didn't hear it. So what is your anticipated schedule for trying to?
Oh, I'm sorry. We've been given an estimate of a 6 to 8 week project total. So we would commence shortly after the end of the school year. The end of the school year, and it's ironic that I'm saying it potentially is before tomorrow, is June 16th.
So
we
this
would-
summer, if you're successful. Yeah. Okay.
You mentioned that there's lights there.
Correct.
So actually, in terms of the lights on, I mean, who controls the lights if, if it's after school, so they have to go through.
Our buddy's team has a lot of time right now. We can adjust the schedule as needed.
Okay.
So what are the hours that the public in the evening is allowed to use the tennis courts?
You can change it based on the season.
But generally, in the afternoon to approximately 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. It isn't uncommon, Bob, where I've driven past the school at 9:30 and the lights are still on.
Have you seen like increase or about the same use of as now there's tennis courts obviously down at the skate park. So I mean, does it get used as much by the public as they were before?
I would say equal. I mean, obviously, first and foremost, I've gotten feedback from the tennis team, the tennis coach, the players, the parents, but I've also gotten community feedback. Hey, Dr. Joe, there's that crack there on the third court on the right, and so on. Yeah, so the concern, first and foremost, is safety. But I would say overall, and I only have a brief 4-year tenure, I'd say the use has been consistent.
You said pickleball courts that they're popular, like you said.
I want to have the problem of scheduling those appropriately for community use. Because and again, not to get on the soapbox, but we just completed a pretty rigorous strategic planning process for the school district, and one of our 4 overarching goals is around connections with the community. We're finding more and more places where students can connect with the community. And I think, albeit this is a small one, but I think it's a very, very, very important one in getting more people onto our campus.
And who maintains it? The school department, basically.
Yeah, buildings and grounds.
I think we were both sitting on the board, Daryl, when we did the match-up job last time around, and that was really just a day-to-day.
Yeah.
And that we would be.
And again, I was looking at pictures from the Enterprise. Oh my God, when it was done, it was gorgeous. It really was.
But it really needed to be done the way it's being done.
Correct.
Then.
Yes.
So this is sort of the last straw, I know, in terms of not being able to be band-aided anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like this is more encompassing, because of this, if you're stripping everything down, down, pitching everything, starting to blending it and all the stuff that goes underneath there, to be able to hopefully make it, last a long period of time.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a sense of the landscape, how the image of our tennis court in terms of this one, we've got over Westboro, we've got, the state player, Caroline, you said, what are the long-term plans for main school? And we used to have tennis courts there. Aren't there plans to restore tennis courts in the area behind the school?
They put up, they hasn't.
That's what I thought, but I thought there were plans
was that big green area.
but all around the place.
I understood that it was to do with.
I think the issue there is drainage. There's actually like a spring that runs right under there, so that was one of the reasons why those courts were removed, is that it's just really, there's no surfacing that you can put in there that doesn't affect your groundwater and heat. So, yeah, that would be my,
Done. Sounds like,
That was the.
how sustainable they would be. In that area, maybe in a different area over there, but that particular area where they were, it's not sustainable.
No, that's fine, I know nothing of tennis courts.
okay, we're all set with that one? Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Kevin Sorrell, 12 Farm Lane, also the chair of the school committee. First off, I want to say thank you for the consideration of this request. As the town finance director will say, we're coming with this request because this court is well beyond its useful service life. In this current market environment, we can't, in our own budget, operating budget, annual budget, find the money to do this. This, I think, is really the right thing for the students in our schools and our community. As the superintendent mentioned, we are probably close to the point where we will not be able to host a home match for our students. And I don't know how we turn and tell our kids that they can't have a home match to play tennis, a scholastic sport. But that's the reason for the 4 courts, because normally it's 2 single matches, 2 doubles. And that's just the way it works. And it's not a short game. It's not a short game. It's going to take some time. The pickleball is if we're into this, we might as well think of the future. And it gives us the option if this does become an MIA, which is, if you're not familiar, it's the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association. It's the body that governs all scholastic sports. Also, increased opportunities for gym classes to use the facilities that they honestly don't use much now just because of this case. So it's a great thing for our kids. It's a great thing for our community. To answer the question, school ends pretty much 2 o'clock except for the tennis season, which is spring. When our students, if they have an away match, it's wide open for the community. Other than that, the kids will be monopolizing it probably until early evening, but then with the lights, it'll certainly be open to the community, and also on the lawn and do lighting. So I know you have a lot to consider, and I know you're going to have future meetings, but thank you for your consideration.
Well, I probably should have brought this up earlier in Bill's, we're wondering how much do we have available for next year to be used in the big note.
Sure. Thank you for the question. I emailed this morning.
It's in fact, I just saw it.
But 0.99, is that,
We pay so much money for the town hall. Is that even?
It says available as of 11/26.
Just want to make sure.
Audio's working. Bill, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, yeah, we got you now.
I can address it if you'd like. Our town accountant Randy made a report last week for us. As you know, CPA imbalance will change literally every single day, come in and pay tax. So, we'll have another influx of money around February 1st, another influx of money around May 1st, people pay their taxes. But as of last week, we had about 900, and I'm just gonna round these up in a second. We had about 920,000 in their open space. We had roughly about 373,000 for community housing, and the undesignated balance is kind of about $1.7 million. So there is some funding available, to do these projects, if that's what the community decides to move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, just one quick alibi, it does have the full support, you have the support of the full, school committee.
Yeah.
So noted my letter.
Thanks.
Just a quick follow-up question. How does the town know? Summer is obviously the easiest, there's no school in session, but how would someone who wants to play on tennis courts know if there was an away game on the weekend falls in the spring? Is that information readily available on the school department's website?
Yeah, so we've converted to a new, a new kind of universal communication tool called Parent Square, which is also integrated with our website. So, yes, the short answer is, it's on our website. You can integrate, say, your Google Calendar with our calendar, so we can post that. But you could also, as a community member, sign up for specific, something like text alerts and so on. And we could actually create a group in Parent Square for somebody who wanted an update to our athletics calendar or something like that. So you very much have the means to not only push it out to Sandwich Public School families, but to the community at large.
Thank you.
There's also, there's an app for that, you'd be shocked. All scholastic sports are now through Arbiter. So I could actually go on my phone and look and see what the schedule is if somebody just downloads it. And they don't need any special access from the school. It's a, like if I wanted to know what the basketball schedule is or football schedule, anybody can do that. And have what the plan schedule is. Obviously, it's an outdoor sport in springtime, so there's always risk of it might change, but it's easily available.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So that one, so we move on to the next one. $500,000 for the historic preservation of 175 Main Street.
Just so you know, you don't have to stay if you've already done your presentation, unless you have an interest. Nobody's gonna think you're doing therapy. If you want, it's dinner time. It's dinner time.
I have basketball for you.
I was actually gonna offer them some advice on how to save money for construction projects. We did tennis courts in Barnstable and Osterville, and there's a lot of value engineering can be done to bring those costs down.
No, it's not the context.
I'm sure we'll be here for the next round.
Yes.
Yeah, you can introduce yourself, please.
My name is Greg Ammons. I'm a member with Clinton Sonic Lodge at 175 Main Street in Sandwich. We submitted this, and unfortunately came across my desk a little late, which is why we didn't have a good presentation here. But the guys see this together because we are looking to kind of put a little facelift on our building. As many of you know, the building is right downtown. 175 Main Street is the old Methodist Church, 1847, I believe it was built. It's a great building if you've ever been there. You know, they've had a lot of houses in the past. They've done a lot of New Year's celebrations in the past. They have bands up inside. It's a great building. It's just ends up falling into some disrepair. We had some years where we kind of rested with the crowd that were in there. But then we've gone, we've brought in some people who are excited, who have a lot of experience in this, and we really want to bring it back up because it is a focal point of the downtown area. So you see the beautiful buildings there. I walked my dog down there during that whole season when we had cicadas eating some. But it was my dog was having a field day letting us there, so I walked her up and down the streets downtown. It's just a beautiful place. So we're looking to get funding to replace some of the stuff we can't do on our own. We do a lot of handy people that can do a lot of work, like exterior trim, roof rails, windows, columns, door trim, all that stuff that's on the higher side. This building, I think, is like 42 feet high or something. It's very hard to get access to. That's why I'm actually having an FAA drone pilot now, so I can see the building. That's something we have. definitely need a new roof on that, roof shingles, final siding repair, restore the clapboard is deed, still the original doors, which we still have, the 1847 doors are still in one of our members' barns. We had to take out years ago when the hinges are rotted out, so we pulled them off. Just haven't got around to installing them again. In the exterior, remove the debris. It's a big undertaking. It's very tough to get in that space. If you know where it is downtown, we're surrounded on two sides anyway, by real tight, narrow alleyways. So getting up there is probably scaffold, and it's gonna be a slow process getting down. Working during the day, I don't know the specific restrictions for work times. I'm guessing 7 or 8 o'clock, probably 2:30. There's actually a building across the street, on Liberty Street, they're moving the building back. And I think that's been going on for like a year. It's a slow process. So we're estimating maybe 3 to 6 months. The ballpark estimate, $500,000. I didn't get a chance to get out to PMC or anybody to have a real good look at this. I think with value engineering, get a look at the structure. The structure's good. Once we get underneath, we're gonna find some things, or hopefully not find some things that might be better place. So I'm hoping that we can engineer our way down as we go. We will do some limited demo and inspection beforehand. A lot of things like structural components that are just kind of rotted out as best as possibly. It's an older building. Like that old, maybe not. Right now, we're getting quotes from vendors to take a look at things. I've got a background in construction. I'm actually the owner's project manager for the town of Boston. So I handle all of their vertical construction. So we've been involved in tons of historic restoration, West Barnstable community building, town halls, and 1896 school building kind of thing. They actually did a couple just like this, but it was attendance in the same thing that was not too long ago. So I have a really good grasp of how this all works. I'll probably end up taking some of the points of that, but we have a great team, home builders, fire department, firefighter, administrative assistant. Somebody at the FAA, we've got licensed electricians. We have a great commissions. Really would like to have some input from the historic commission, which I was happy to serve on for a few years with Matt and the two. I don't know which one of you is still the historical commission. Both historians, okay. Okay, I know they said they had one, I didn't know both you were there though. Okay, there you go.
We're well represented here.
Good, good. Yeah, that's what we wanted some input to, is that building, we can do a lot of the work on the lower side, painting, not a problem, replacing lower things, but once you get up higher, we want to see about using alternative materials, possibly Mazek. We just did a bunch of it down in Barnstable, and it looks great. It's higher up, so you can't really see it. But the beauty of it is it's really low maintenance. You don't have to put as much attention to it. We wouldn't be coming back every 5 years or every 3 years to get up there and repaint. I'm sure that you've probably seen some churches down here with the ski poles, a lot of times they allow a variance there just because it is a difficult thing. Let's see. A lot of support from our presiding master of the lodge. We all discussed this on lodge and are excited to keep it going. Continued maintenance, like I said, we have a young group that's really eager that we do a ton of work on our own. All of us have these great skill sets that we can put forth through the building. We have manpower in the hours. We get help from like the Boy Scouts. They used the building as well. We'd love to get more people to use the building, some to come to the building. If you've been on there on Halloween, we open up the front door and sleep Snyder and give out candy and dress in costumes. And everybody loves it. So just being downtown, I think is that primary spot. We want to really bring it back up to how it looked and how it was back in the 1800s. Especially getting those beautiful doors in front. I can tell you how much we miss not having those. And maybe it's upkeep. We do fundraisers for our lodge. We bring in probably 3 to 5 days a year just from one event that we do. And we're looking to do additional events to bring them out there and more community service donations from our members. And we do our annual dues, help out. But I think once we get the bulk of the work done, the maintenance and upkeep is pretty easy to maintain on our own.
Good question. I don't know that much about Masonic Lodge, so maybe just my edification. I assume you probably just investigated whether grants are available through national or international Masonic
organization?
We are looking into things like that. There's not as much as we would like, and not at this level. We do get some matching donations from grandmas. We also donate to our communities when we do shop with the coffee. We donate to the Sandwich Baseball League, Sandwich Food Pantry. They'll match some of that as well. So we do take money from them for good for other things. Upkeep of buildings usually relies more on us. They don't really get to minutia because they have 150 lodges in Massachusetts.
And you're considered a non-profit.
We are a nonprofit, yes.
So that property doesn't pay taxes.
Nothing more. No, I think we filed a 990N one, but yeah, and we filed with Ralph and Tom and his crew up there.
Maybe it's the building, I just live around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
Jim and.
It really is. And I don't know how it works, but I know before my time, right before I remember like 12 years ago, right before my time, we didn't have the sheriff's department come in and paint the interior. I don't know what the limits of the sheriff's department is, or if they even do that program before, because I know there was some issues with one of the municipalities in Katy had some abuse with it, so I don't know if they still do that or not. If they do, that would be great, because it would be a lot value engineering, save a lot of money there too. Yeah, project timeline, 3 to 6 months, I think, once we get everything squared away. I just think it's gonna be a little slow going on the scaffolding and safety. We don't want, like OSHA down there.
Don't use bamboo.
Don't use bamboo, it's correct, yes.
The only weakness that I see in this application is it's not very specific about the expense, the cost, who's gonna do it, and the estimates. And I'm just saying this because, going forward, and especially at town meeting, if you're just sort of saying, well, with like $500,000, because we think it'll be around that, you're gonna be in trouble. So you really, probably pretty sooner than later, given the fact that in January we'll be reviewing applications, we'll probably need to have some locked down numbers on this. The only other piece of advice that I would give you is also to expand a little bit on all of the uses that other groups other than the Masons get out of this building. Because I know you do to other groups, and I think from the public's point of view, that would be very, significant to them to know that what you like to mention is Boy Scouts, but I think the garden, garden club,
Rotary Club, Lighters practice there.
So I think, when you, especially in town meeting, make your presentation, I think it's important for people to realize that the community itself gets a lot of things out of this building, not just the lodge.
Absolutely. Yes, and I'm working on quotes now, so at least that's part of what I do for a living. Now that I have the ability to actually break it down. I could not find any plans or drawings on this building, which is kind of strange. I reached out to the Sandwich. There's nothing. There's really nothing to sort. So we kind of started from scratch to do dimensions. Because that's the only way I'm going to be able to.
Did you go to the archives?
Anything in the archives?
I didn't do the archives yet. I called up the building department to see if they had a file. Even if there was a renovation done, 20 years
So the archive had a plan of the grist mill from 1640.
Wow.
Probably rare to say, because if you start there, it's stored. So
Yeah, okay, that's a good
they
idea.
probably do.
Yeah, I think I know somebody.
The archives.
Yeah, but that's part of my plan now, and like I said, with the historic commission, getting their advice too, if they're allowing us to use different types of materials, that's, I'm gonna have to basically get 2 costs to look at it, because it really is a difference. Anybody that's done construction or architecture, they can tell you that, as soon as you start changing the material around, it can either go up or down a lot. So we're hoping to get that.
We meet Wednesday and do a struggle commission. I think it would be good to come and seek a letter of support and just get some advice. Because there have been some, I know when First Church had an initial application, they were exploring audit materials, and they had shown some examples of other buildings of similar architecture that have used final trim. But there's also the preservation restriction component that was raised. We talked about that. So there's some other considerations that your organization, I think, would have to make if they want us to pursue this. And I think one of the pieces of advice I would have is, I think it'd be helpful to see some pictures. I mean, I'll take your word for it as a professional that these things need to be replaced, but it's really helpful when we can see pictures of running clapboard, things that
A crack.
Right.
It's like a crack tennis court.
Yeah, I'm hoping for this drone flyer, I'll give you everything you see.
I walk by that building frequently, so I know that it is actually in, dire need of some.
Areas that can't be reached, it's hard to fix areas that can't be reached, I mean, I
Yeah, it goes right up the left side of
the
it.
edge of the left side, and the fence on the back side is pretty close too. It's just, like I said, bringing a cherry picker or lift in there is gonna be extremely hard, it's gonna have to be scaffolding. It's gonna be done right, but yeah, I think it's a beautiful building that we can, and it's in the heart of town. It's really like right in the middle of town, you can't miss it.
Well, I think I would almost argue that a lot of people probably don't. It is a little bit further down on Main Street, so I don't think a lot of people are, to Bob's point, aware of how much it does provide. So when you think of other similar buildings of that scale in the village, you think of, okay, community carols, that's 91st Church, and so this one I think there's a little bit more salesmanship on what we're providing to the community so that we will support it. I think would be helpful. And the only other piece of advice is, normally, I think when we see these applications, and you saw the other ones tonight, there's a little bit more of a contribution from the organization. This, you're asking the CPC to fund 100% of the proposed cost, which I think would grow based upon what you do engineering wise. You might discover a lot more. So I don't know if there's potentially you come back and ask for more money. That would be 100% funded by the CPC. So I don't know what other preliminaries this. So if there's other funding mechanisms that we need, just so that you have a little bit of your skin in the game, which I think would help you move the needle and support towards something like this. Because we generally, I don't think I've seen an application where it's not some sort of contribution to anything.
You could put some value on your time and talent as well, of the organization, people who are, there's always time, treasure, and talent, but those two pieces do have value, and if, as you said, the painting and the lower parts of things, could be done by your group. That could be figured into the application's, estimate of what you're taking on. Correct. For the project.
We put in a lot of sweat equity in that building. We do have a licensed architect that's a member that probably would end up doing construction plans for us, pro bono.
So you can put a value in all of those things.
Absolutely.
This is really what it's costing, but, this is what we're asking to be your piece.
Absolutely.
Like construction, I think that's an important component. I'd spoken previously before for members that came in. One of the concerns I had was that the building had already been engineered with materials that were not in line with historic preservation. So as part of getting public funding, we have to show public benefit. We do that through the historic preservation instruction. It's a standard template you get from Massachusetts Historic Commission. The local historical commission can hold it, but it's restoration or rehabilitation of, like materials. It's not going to exact or anything like that. And then the other portion of that is that you're also within the Ultimate Highway. So even if the historical commission agrees that, they will change or make some type of considerations that will be memorialized, the historic district committee can also just say
They're
no.
the ones that actually, a lot of people come to the commission looking for us to do the work, what's really the Old Kings Highway Historic District.
So there's never any that materials will be.
So that almost takes any sort of composite material off your CPC funding.
Yes.
So,
Not necessarily.
but I think your point about our funding and compliance with the state historical commission, mass historical, like materials. But if you're replacing vinyl siding, aged vinyl siding, and you're putting the doors back, and you're doing some of that stuff, I think you'd have an argument. So, but yeah, you can come to us. We are public meeting on Wednesday, short notice, but it's at the library.
Get to relive the experience.
And we do have a public forum, so you can sort of just get on our agenda, even though it's already published. And then, maybe in January, come back here with a little more information or whatever, and, take it from there.
Yeah, that was the question. So with the new process, there's nothing that prevents the applicant from coming back. If we met again in January, they can offer more materials. It's not like, this is it, we have to meet the judge in the areas of this application.
No, so we said January/February, so we were worried that there would be overflow in the December meeting.
Okay.
It's launched nation, we weren't anticipating getting 5. Which has been radio silence all year, so, yeah, it was a flurry of activity, themes. But yeah, nothing stops you from going over any of this, or for anyone that, already presented, if there's questions you think of, I can ask them to come back and hash it out further.
You can come back with pictures for now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Binder.
Yeah.
I have the time to put it together, it's not a problem. It's at work all the time.
I'm sorry, I'm taking one of those. The only other word of advice I would say, more letters of support would be on you saw.
Yep.
And you can pay attention to the recreation department's request. Community support, I'm sure there's a lot of people in that neighborhood that would get some support, so all those things would help the communities against each other.
I noticed that you had the proposed cost was $510,000, and then you asked for 500. So the 10,000, what did that represent?
Just contingency.
Yeah, just probably gonna be for the structural evaluation or, minor things like that. So we're gonna have to do some like work on that just to make sure everything's up to par. This number, I already told them, add in 12% or 10 or 12% for escalation anyway, and then 10% maybe for just unforeseen conditions. So that's already worked into the number. That's why I'm hoping to value engineer it backwards and you actually get to see, the data so you can say, okay, this material's approved. I didn't know prevailing wage and that was a requirement list. So there's something else that can take money out because some of these deals are prevailing wage and hourly rates of, $80, $90 an hour, maybe a little bit cheaper. Unless we're using actually it's to get historic contractors down here.
And if you're probably looking for support, my understanding is if you get the parents of the kids that go down there at Halloween or whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was like 1,000.
We look around the corner and get 400, you guys get about 600.
Yeah, we get a lot of kids. But yeah, we do a lot with the police department, the fire department. We've got a wide reach, so.
Any other?
One more question is, I think this is probably for Bill, if you're still here, yep, I see you. So I see the funding breakdown, and this just might be my own stupidity. Is there a reason that we don't have recreation as a standalone?
Recreation falls under open space, so that's open
So
space slash
those are the three,
recreation.
those are the
Yep.
three buckets. And so if we don't have anything right now, this application is for historic preservation. Is the undesignated fund balance the same as saying the general? I know there's a general pot that can be used and tapped into. Is that what we're saying here is the 1.6?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. So there's a certain percentage every time it's appropriated at a town meeting that goes into each of those funding buckets, and then the rest goes into the undesignated.
Okay, any other questions?
No.
All set? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And we only have one more, the housing assistance.
Only what he says.
We're not having
Only
tonight.
one more.
Canceling this next.
So next is the request for $100,000 for the for $50,000 for the creation of the ropes course at Camp Linden. So
Is somebody not here to speak on behalf of the next group?
Housing Assistance Corporation, they had another application for CPC the same night, so they requested to come before you in January.
So we can study this and be prepared.
Yeah, and if you've read it already, and if there's any questions, we can walk through the application tonight ourselves, and I can forward any questions to them so they're prepared for January.
Hi, I'm Shauna Mose. I'm from the YMCA Cape Cod. And we submitted a request to help with the completion of the ropes course at Camp Linden, which is, off of Race Lane, near Farmersville Road there, on Lawrence Pond. And we've got about 79 acres. We have a conservation restriction with the town on a good chunk of that land. It is mostly woodsy. And there's a little bit that's our trail for our camp. And part of that is our ropes course. The YMCA, we're partially into this project, just to let you know. I only gave you one bid. There's very few companies that actually do these outdoor adventure courses, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the impact of them. But we ended up going with High Five, between High Five and Project Adventure. And so we did, before this summer season, we were able to do we had an individual donor who just loves the camp and was able to fund the initial getting started. We did demolition of the old course, which had reached its end of life. It was first built in the 90s, and we've been maintaining it and relicensing it year after year. We have had up to 1,000 kids coming to our summer camp in Sandwich. We're kind of at about 850 now, or last summer we were at 850, and about 93 of those were from families that lived in Sandwich itself. The rest of them are traveling, but 90% of them live on Cape Cod, and we're sort of, we really focus on being the day camp that caters to local working families. Unlike a lot of camps, we offer before school, or before hours, early hours, so we open at 7:30. Last pickup is at 5:30, so it really enables people, to make the most of the summer working season here. And we try to price ourselves like it's about $100 less than your luxury camps or what you have. But it also is a classic Cape Cod experience, being in the woods on a pond, that kind of stuff, and it's very rustic. But as they were talking about. Other people mentioned, because we try to keep it so low, and about 40% of the kids are there on scholarships. We're also one of the only, this is true for our early education, our after-school program, and our summer camp. We accept all vouchers. So WonderFund, DCF, any kind of childcare voucher we'll accept, and a lot of organizations don't accept them because it's very tedious to get reimbursed. So we basically lose money all summer, and then we get paid at the end of September or October for all of those vouchers. So it's a bit of a juggling act. So coming up with capital funds is a big project for us. I know this is small numbers compared to what other people were asking for, but it's a big number for us. So with the initial 50,000, if you scroll back up to the drawing, I just wanted to show, again, because this is an individual who's committed to camp, he did the hard boring parts that were really expensive. Like, we brought in the big cranes to do all the 35-foot support poles for the entire course. And so we only had to bring the big equipment out one time. And so all the pools are in place. And so now if you look at the, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 budget, phase 2 and phase 3 looks really fun because you're just kind of popping the activity elements onto those structural elements that have already been done. So we have those, hard to see there, but you can see we have some of the high elements up there, and we had one low element, and we were able to get that installed and licensed. So it's important that this is like a license regulated activity. It's not something that people can just, anyone can't run up and just use a rock ball unsupervised because it's dangerous. But so yeah, we were able to open a little bit of it this summer, and it was really terrific. And so our goal now, it will be fairly quick to do the installation. It'll probably take 1 to 2 weeks to have them come out. Again, High Five would come down, install the elements, and then it depends on how long we get. It takes us to get the state to come in and license it. So they have to come and inspect it after it is and say it's okay to use. So this summer we actually had this installed right before camp opened, but we had to rope it off for a couple of weeks until the licensor could come in. So our goal is to really try and get everything installed that we're gonna get installed, or at least phase 2 done by early May, so that can be completely licensed and inspected before camp starts, which is usually that last week of June or the first week of July. So we have some, because it's all based on what I can raise for capital grants, we have some options. So, you know, if I get all the funding in place, I'll do phase 2 and phase 3 before camp opens. If not, you know, we'll do it as the funding comes in. And because we have 79 acres, it's not impossible for me to close the ropes course for a week and move the kids to another area so that we can install if it does need to come over the summer. But chances are we would probably stop, do camp, because we just kind of use all of those spaces. And then continue in September as the money comes in. So yeah, so those are the pieces. The big elements that are missing are, I kind of circled there on those 4 posts that are already in where we have the high elements. There's like 2 more sides to that square that need to be in. Those 4 posts that you see in the second picture on the right are gonna be this awesome climbing tower. And then that will have a zip line connecting it to the far end of that big field where they play sports and stuff like that. So it's called, it's like a challenge by choice type of learning. They call it, you know, outdoor adventure learning for the kids, and it builds teamwork, it builds their confidence, it builds their resilience, but it's challenge by choice. Nobody's forced to go, but like they look at it week after week. You know, Monday they're not ready to go, but by Friday they are. By Friday they're ready to try, you know? And so, yeah, so it's really good. It's really good for team building. We have, often have like the Barnstable Sheriff's Department brings its Use That Risk kids out, and they do a whole program out there. We have Heroes in Transition that come out and use it. We have, and it's been offline for 2 years now, so we just got that in at the beginning of the summer. What else was I going to say? So yeah, so that's basically where we are with this. It's it's a $169,000 project. The first part of the project, we did leverage a lot of volunteers and in-kind services. So like Triple Tree came out and took down the big poles. We had Civilian Conservation Corps out. We had volunteers here for a while before they were recalled, and they disassembled the whole thing on the ground, you know, the old part, and helped us dispose of that. So that saved us like $9,000 right there. And every September we have Blue Cross Blue Shield out. They do one of their service days out at Camp Linden, and they built our amphitheater out there. And then this year, even though it was pouring rain, they spread so many wood chips, all over the bottom to just kind of make more of a nice landing. It has a lot of appeal to a lot of different people, I would say. And yeah, so we have completed about a third of it. We have another grant pending with the Kelly Foundation, which is a large grant that they asked us for them. It's about $49,000, which they asked us to submit to them for consideration. So we're feeling pretty positive about it, but there's no guarantee. But and then this request would help us kind of get over the finish line, and that would just bring this back up to what it used to be and the community resource that it used to be. So I don't know if you have any questions for me.
But just to be clear, so your finding or providing essentially $119,000 worth of money towards this, or
Right.
kind towards the project, and
Yes.
are only looking for 50 of it from us.
Yes, correct.
And in kind was the expression I was trying to think of in terms in your project about the manpower that you use.
Yeah,
And we're placing value on it.
ideas for you about how to value all of that. But yeah, guys who can bring their equipment, it's huge because the equipment rental is really expensive. So yeah.
It seems like a very good project to me.
How tall is that tower?
Well,
If I'm that little guy standing at the bottom of it looking up, I don't think I'm gonna give that a go.
I know. I think it's got to be at least 20 feet because the pools are 35, and I think they're about 10 feet into the ground. You know, because they're really.
Okay, so
Yeah,
not-
those-
that little guy isn't to scale then.
Yeah, it's pretty tall though. But yeah, so everyone is rigged in. We get trainers. We have to get all of our people who staff it are certified to do that, and the kids when they go in are all like latched in and whatnot and still. So yeah, but we have kids coming there from 5 to 15, and then the teenagers.
It's a good project. It's great to see an applicant come in with so many other funding sources too.
Yes. And, taking those vouchers is a great thing, I think. Also, the hours that you provide to parents, working parents, is, I would think, a huge.
Yeah, it's a big part of our
Plus,
mission.
yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause you look at some of the other ones, you can't drop off before like 8:45.
Well, I know our recreation, I think, they open, registration and literally within minutes.
Yeah.
It's
So wait,
So-
you have to wake up at like 2:30 in the morning.
right, wait for the,
Yeah.
the moment.
Yes.
Enter.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And so like we said, the housing assistant one, that'll be later, probably next meeting.
I just looked at this briefly, the housing assistance, it's building renovation, right? The lion's share of it, homeless support for, and I assume, I didn't see in there, but I didn't look terribly carefully.
It's an emergency shelter.
Yeah, it's emergency, so this is a small fraction of $4.8 million total project.
Well, something that's interesting about this application is Tobin and I attended a presentation at the Center for Active Living from two gentlemen, one who had worked with FEMA and the other with USA Aid. They both lived in Scituate, and they were sort of trying to head up, how would I put this? They were trying to sort of give people a heads up to the fact that there's a lot of questionable funding for something like this, for something like it. How will our federal government come through after sort of canceling so much of the funding to those programs in the event that we really do have an emergency and need something like an emergency shelter? And their whole presentation was really focused on trying to motivate the audience to do something about writing their congressmen or local representatives, because their thing was that it will ultimately fall to the states.
Well, and the communities ultimately, right? And I think that's why where they are tonight, right? They're at another CPC meeting, another town looking. I mean, it's not uncommon Cape-wide for the towns to share the burden in affordable housing projects and projects such as this, so. But I didn't read the whole thing, obviously, so this is good that we have a little more time to at least go through the whole thing. Probably not going to study their architectural plans in detail, but
I know we've had some changes in the committee here, but if Jeff is still a member, who is not here tonight that's a member?
Okay, so Jack is actually the new planning board designate
Okay.
as opposed to Jeff.
Okay, gotcha.
Jeff left the planning board and is on the finance committee now.
Okay.
And then we're missing Rick Anderson, who is appointed by the select board, who's appointed last week actually, and he filled Steve Hayes's position. But he unfortunately was called out of state. So he won't be here, and he probably won't be here in January either.
Okay.
And then Kimberly Walsh is the Conservation Commission's representative. I know I stated in June that she was stepping down. She didn't. I said that prematurely. She decided to stay on, so she still is the representative. She couldn't make tonight, but she will be here in January.
Okay.
So we are fully staffed.
And then just summarizing at a very high level of math here, we've got a $3 million balance. And tonight we had requests for 1.8.
I wrote it down somewhere. In my math. Oh, I did it as well.
And, yes. Sorry, I was thinking about something and then, that was the end of my sentence.
That was the matter not
What was
reasonably
that period when I?
anticipated.
Well,
Other matters not reasonably anticipated? Anybody have anything?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
a second.
You're looking for?
Yes. Okay,
I thought you might be.
so, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
Yeah. I'm gonna abstain. Abstain.
You're not gonna make that mistake.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank
you, everyone. Take care.
So the January meeting will be
It's gonna be the second Monday
something up more
because of the,
because you're getting surgery.
first will be the holiday.
Yeah.
So it would most likely be the second, yeah.
Before.
1.9, yep.
So second, good, because I'm getting my shoulder upgraded. Wait a minute, I was in the wrong.
Or the 5 projects.